I was 7 months pregnant, hauling heavy grocery bags up 3 flights of stairs, while my husband lounged on the couch playing video games. When I finally set the bags down, gasping and drenched in sweat, he sneered, "You're getting disgusting. Lose that weight fast, or I'll find someone who actually takes care of herself." His friends howled with laughter. I just smiled, and exactly 72 hours later, he was frantically calling me nonstop, begging me to answer. I'm literally sitting in a hotel room right now, 7 months pregnant, trying to process what just happened today. Am I overreacting? Am I in shock? I don't know, but I need to get this out. Sorry for the long post. For context, Alan and I have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We met in community theater. I was on the costume crew, and he was playing the lead. He was this charismatic, musician-type guy who poured his heart into everything. I fell hard for him. Things really started to shift when I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but after the initial shock, I was genuinely excited. Alan, on the other hand, seemed unenthusiastic. He said all the right things, but actions speak louder than words. His actions? Retreating to his gaming chair with his buddies and barely lifting a finger around the house. I told myself he was just processing this huge change in his own way. Typical guy stuff, right? Plus, this pregnancy has been nothing short of brutal. 3 months of nonstop morning sickness, dipping iron levels leading to anemia, and now my back feels like it's being twisted in half most days. Which brings me to today. I just finished work and stopped at Trader Joe's on the way home. We live in a 3rd-floor walk-up with no elevator, and my car was packed to the brim with groceries. When I walked in, Alan was sprawled on our couch, headset on, playing Call of Duty, surrounded by empty Monster cans. I asked if he could help haul the groceries upstairs. He waved me off and mumbled that he was in the middle of something important. So there I was, 7 months pregnant, waddling up and down 3 flights of stairs with heavy bags. By the 6th trip I was dripping sweat, my back was screaming, and I could feel my ankles swelling inside my shoes. When I finally set down the last bag, I collapsed into the kitchen chair, gasping for air. That's when Alan looked up and said, "I'm not even exaggerating. This is disgusting. You better lose that weight fast after the baby, or I'll find someone who actually takes care of herself." He said it loud enough for his friends on the headset to hear. I literally froze. Then I heard laughter crackle through his headset. He wanted his friends to hear that. Instead of breaking down, I walked over, smiled, kissed his forehead, and said, "I need a shower." The confused look on his face would have been funny if I wasn't crumbling inside. In the shower, with the water drowning out any sound, I finally let myself cry. But those weren't just sad tears, they were angry tears, tears of clarity. In that moment, I saw every red flag I'd been ignoring for 5 years in perfect focus. This wasn't new behavior, it was just the most blatant example yet. This was who he really was, and I was about to bring a child into that world. I got out of the shower, threw on my comfiest maternity dress, and told Alan I needed some air and time to think. He barely looked up from his game. I grabbed my packed hospital bag, my laptop, important documents, everything, and walked out. I'm now at a hotel about 20 minutes away. I called my sister who lives an hour from here, and she's coming tomorrow to help me figure things out. Alan has called twice and texted once, not asking where I am, but where the leftovers are in the fridge. I need to leave him. I need to protect myself and my baby, but I'm terrified. I'm 7 months pregnant. Our lease is in both our names. Our finances are somewhat tangled, though thank God I've always kept my paycheck in my own account. I was counting on a partner for childcare and expenses, but I keep coming back to what he said in the kitchen. I deserve better. My baby deserves better. I don't know my exact next steps, but I know I'm not going back tonight. Maybe never. Edit. A lot of people are asking if this was the first time he said something like that. It wasn't. Throughout the pregnancy there have been jokes about my changing body, comments about how I used to be hot, questions about my plan to get back in shape. They always came wrapped in concern or humor, so I could brush them off. Today was just mask off. Edit 2. To those suggesting I should have communicated better or tried to work things out, we've had countless talks about dividing chores, especially since I got pregnant. His promises to do better last about 48 hours. I've suggested couples therapy 3 times. He's always too busy. Today wasn't a bad day. It was the day I finally saw clearly. Update. Same night it's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep. Alan finally realized I wasn't coming home tonight and has been blowing up my phone, first with confusion. Where are you? Then irritation. You're being dramatic. Then guilt trips. I was just joking. You know how the guys are. His latest text. I better not be spending our money on a hotel. Our money, the same money that's 90% from my paycheck while he invests in his music career and gaming setup. I've decided to meet with a lawyer before I go back. I've muted his notifications and I'm trying to rest for my baby's sake. My sister arrives in the morning. The baby is kicking like crazy right now. I put my hand on my belly and whispered, "I've got you. We're going to be okay." And for the first time today, I actually believe it. Update 1 month later. It's been about 4 weeks since my first post, and things have gotten intense. Thank you to everyone who offered support. Your messages kept me going when I wanted to give up. After that night, and flew in and we talked through my options. We decided I needed to go back to the apartment temporarily to get my affairs in order. Many of you warned not to let Alan know until I was ready. OMG, you were so right. When I returned, Alan acted like nothing had happened. When I brought up his comment, he rolled his eyes and said I was being too sensitive, that it was just a joke. Then he turned it around on me. "I've been so moody lately and you've been walking on eggshells." He actually said, "Do you realize how hard this pregnancy has been for me?" I nearly snapped, but I stuck to my plan. I took a deep breath, apologized for overreacting, and told him I was just tired and hormonal. The relief on his face was immediate. He thought he'd won, that I was back in line, and everything could go back to normal. Little did he know I'd been quietly consulting a divorce attorney for weeks. The past month has been the hardest of my life. Outwardly, I've played the apologetic, pregnant wife. Behind the scenes, I've systematically prepared to leave. I've kept a detailed journal of Alan's behavior, complete with dates, times, and verbatim quotes, and I've recorded several of our nastiest conversations on my phone. My lawyer says this evidence could make all the difference. Financially, I've covered my bases. I've always had my paycheck go into my own account, thank God, but I just switched my direct deposit to a new bank entirely. I've been transferring small sums from our joint account into that private account, barely enough to raise suspicion, essentially reclaiming what I contributed over the years. While reviewing our finances, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. Alan opened a credit card in my name without my knowledge and charged more than $5,000 on a gaming PC and other junk. I reported it as fraud and sent the credit card company proof that I never authorized those purchases. All of my critical documents, birth certificate, marriage license, bank statements, tax returns are now locked away in a safe spot outside our apartment. My sister helped me find a 2-bedroom ground floor unit with in-unit laundry in a secure building. It's not fancy, but it's clean, affordable, and mine. I signed the lease last week. I've been stealthily packing my essentials and moving them to my sister's place whenever Alan is out. Nothing obvious enough to raise his suspicions, but the items that matter most to me are already safe. I even got a burner phone he doesn't know about. My regular phone stays with me to avoid raising any red flags. Living this double life while 8 months pregnant has been brutal. My ankles are swollen, my back aches constantly, and the baby seems to treat my ribs like a trampoline. Yet, every step toward freedom fuels me. The toughest part is pretending everything's fine, cooking his meals, laughing at his jokes, listening to complaints about his bandmates, watching him game for hours while I shoulder everything else. Since he thinks I'm back to normal, Alan's behavior has gotten even worse. Last week, he invited his gaming buddies over without telling me until they rang the doorbell. I'd just gotten home, sprawled on the couch because my back was spasming, when he marched into the living room and ordered me to make myself useful and order pizzas. When I explained I was in pain, he scoffed, "Being pregnant isn't a disability. Women have been doing it forever." I checked with his mom afterward. Turns out she was on bed rest the last month because of complications. The guys sat there uncomfortable but silent. I ordered and paid for the pizzas from the couch, then shuffled to the door in my pajamas to collect them. After they left at 2 a.m., Alan crawled into bed and tried to initiate sex. When I said I was exhausted, he said, "Come on, it's not like you have to do anything. Just lie there like you usually do." I escaped to the bathroom and cried, reminding myself this would all be over soon. My move-out is set for next weekend, when Alan heads to his parents for his dad's birthday. That gives me 24 quiet hours with my sister, 2 close friends, and, surprisingly, his younger brother Rory, who witnessed one of Alan's meltdowns and reached out to help. My lawyers prep the divorce papers. I'll freeze our joint account, grab what's mine, leave the papers with a note explaining why, and be gone before he returns. I won't lie, I'm terrified. I wake in the night with my heart racing, wondering if I can go through with it. Then my daughter kicks, and I remember why I have to. I refuse to raise her in a home where her mother is disrespected every day. In a strange way, I'm grateful for that grocery store episode. Without it, I might have let his behavior slide for years. The red flags were always there. I was just too in love to see them. My doctor says my blood pressure is high from stress, so I need to take it easy this final month. The irony isn't lost on me. Planning my escape is stressful in the short term, but crucial for my long-term health. For everyone who suggested therapy, I've started virtual sessions with a specialist in relationship trauma and pregnancy. It's been life-changing to have someone validate that this is real emotional abuse, and I deserve better. I'll update after everything goes down next weekend. Wish me luck, because I'm going to need it. Edit. Just got a notification that this post is blowing up while I'm at my doctor's appointment. I'll try to answer questions when I get home. Thank you again for all the support. Update. Same day, Alan just texted asking what's for dinner tonight. I'm literally at my OB appointment, which he chose not to attend because he had a really important band practice. Jamming in his buddy's garage for hours, knocking back beers, and somehow I'm still expected to make dinner. I've been picking my battles to keep him off my trail, so I'll probably swing by and grab takeout on my way home. For more days until he heads to his parents, for more days of pretending I can keep this up. Oh, and the doctor says our baby girl is right on track with a strong heartbeat, not that Alan even asked. She's already doing gymnastics in there. I'm pretty sure she knows we're about to start something better. Yesterday, while Alan was, shocker, deep into a gaming marathon, I went ahead and ordered the most adorable crib for our new place. It's shipping to Anne's next week. I've never bought something so pricey without overthinking it, but choosing for me and my daughter felt incredible. This morning, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror while getting ready for work and actually smiled. Not because I look great. Let's be real. I'm 8 months pregnant and wiped out, but because I recognized that spark in my eyes again, that light that vanished years ago. Last night, I rehearsed what I'd write in my note to Alan. Putting all his behavior into words felt so validating. No more excuses, no more minimizing. Just the raw truth about who he is and why I'm leaving. I'm terrified about doing this solo. Single motherhood wasn't in my plan, but staying with Alan would cost me my dignity and eventually my sanity. What kind of mom could I be then? For more days, just 4 more days of this double life, and then freedom. Second update, it's done. I'm sitting in my new apartment right now, surrounded by boxes and a half-assembled crib, and I've never felt more peaceful amid the chaos. Here's how it went down. Alan left yesterday morning for his dad's birthday weekend, 3 hours away. He was actually in a good mood, probably just happy to dodge pregnant wife duty. He kissed me goodbye, warned me not to do anything crazy, and said he'd be back Sunday evening. The moment his car pulled away, Operation Exodus kicked off. 10 minutes later, my sister rolled up in her SUV, and then my friend Mia pulled in with a moving truck she borrowed from work. Alan's brother Rory showed up soon after, looking nervous, but determined. We had exactly 32 hours to clear me out. Stepping into that apartment was surreal, 5 years of slowly losing pieces of myself while pretending everything was fine. We followed my checklist. First, personal items and clothes Alan wouldn't notice. Next, all the baby things I'd bought myself. Then the furniture that was mine long before our relationship. Rory hauled heavy boxes despite my protests. He kept saying he shouldn't help me leave his brother. At one point, he paused mid-carry with my dresser and looked at me. He's family, he said, but what he's doing is wrong. Mom raised us better than that. I almost cried right there in the hallway. The highlight was disconnecting Alan's beloved gaming PC, the one he'd fraudulently charged to my card. I packed it in its original box while Rory watched, torn between loyalty and doing the right thing. He just shook his head and loaded it onto the truck, muttering about Alan finally facing consequences. By 7 p.m., most of my stuff was out. We ordered pizza, seems that's become my default, but this time it was a celebration meal with people who actually care. We sat on the floor of my new place, eating straight from the box, laughing through exhaustion and relief. This morning, we tackled the final sweep. I deep-cleaned the apartment, not for Alan, but so he couldn't complain, packed my last things, and left everything else ready for him. On the kitchen counter, divorce papers, filed, not served, a folder detailing his credit card fraud on the gaming PC, a USB drive with recordings of his verbal abuse, and a note that said, "I found someone better." I left most of our shared furniture, no need for pettiness, but snapped photos in case he tries to claim otherwise. Doing all that at 8.5 months pregnant was brutal. By the end of day 1, my back was screaming, and this morning my hands were so swollen I could barely grip a box. But adrenaline is wild, and knowing I was finally free kept me going. Once I was safely in my new place, I called Alan's cell, no answer. I left a voicemail telling him not to bother Anne's house since I wasn't there and that he'd find everything he needed on the kitchen counter. Then I texted the same info, blocked his number, and emailed his parents to explain why we're separating so he can't spin it into me being the villain. Within an hour, my phone blew up with calls from unknown numbers, Alan using friends' phones. I ignored them. His mom ended up calling Anne's and, in tears, apologized for her son's behavior. Somehow, that was healing. Rory says Alan came home early, went ballistic at the empty apartment and papers, then swung between rage, confusion, and suddenly begging to fix things. Surprisingly, some of Alan's friends have reached out to support me. One even confessed they'd tried a guy's talk months ago about how he treated me, but he dismissed it as them being whipped. As for me, I'm exhausted but relieved. The apartment is small but bright, with a park view and a balcony, just begging for morning coffee. My hospital is a 10-minute drive away. I've changed my email, set up mail forwarding, made new social accounts, and told my job they've been amazing. Baby's due in just over 3 weeks. Doctor says she might come early. I'm scared, but so excited. I never thought I'd do this alone, but I'd rather be a single mom than raise her in a toxic home. To everyone who supported me on my posts, thank you. Your encouragement gave me the guts to go. I'm still nervous about what's next, but for the first time in years, I'm hopeful. Edit. Same day, Alan emailed saying he's coming to Anne's tonight to talk and that I'm making a huge mistake. Anne's let him know I'm not there and that any trespassing will get the police involved. I've documented everything just in case. Update. Last night at 11 p.m., Alan showed up at Anne's, pounding and yelling at the door for nearly 10 minutes before leaving. He left all our wedding photos on her porch with a note. I threw away everything we built. The irony of him suddenly caring about our marriage isn't lost on me this morning. He emailed again, completely changing his tone, apologizing, saying he didn't realize how much his actions hurt me, and promising to change, go to therapy, be a better father, etc. The old me might have wavered, but the new me sees this for what it is, a manipulation tactic from a man who's lost control. His apology was all about him, his feelings, his discomfort, what he wants, never once acknowledging the specific ways he hurt me or how his behavior could affect our child. I didn't respond. My lawyer advised me to communicate only through her. Today, I'm setting up the nursery with and catching as much rest as possible. Baby girl is extra active, like she knows we're finally somewhere safe. TikTok won't stop showing those "he's really in love with you" videos, and I just have to laugh. I spent 5 years confusing control for care and convenience for love. Never again, bestie. Never again. Last update. It's been about 10 months since my first post, and so much has changed that I wanted to share a final recap. First and foremost, my daughter Lily is now 6 months old, healthy, happy, and the light of my life. She has my eyes and nose and a personality entirely her own. Just last week, she started sitting up on her own and became obsessed with the stuffed sloth my sister got her. Her favorite thing is when I sing to her while dancing around the kitchen, because her giggle is the best sound I've ever heard. The birth itself was intense. I went into labor 3 weeks early, just 5 days after moving into my new apartment, and was my birthing partner and was incredible. After 19 hours of labor, including 3 hours of pushing, Lily arrived at 6:22 a.m., screaming her little head off. The moment she was placed on my chest, I knew every tough decision I'd made was absolutely worth it. I didn't inform Alan that I was in labor. My lawyer said I wasn't obligated to, and after his erratic behavior, I didn't want to add stress. I emailed him the next day with a formal photo of Lily, no selfie, plus her basic health and birth stats. His response was an angry tirade, upset I hadn't called, demanding to see his daughter immediately, then accusing me of using her as a pawn. My lawyer handled everything from there, explaining we'd establish a formal visitation schedule through the courts given his recent conduct. Here's something I haven't shared before, my pettiest yet most satisfying moment. During the divorce, we discovered Alan had hidden money in a separate account. My lawyer fought for it, and I was awarded a significant portion of those marital assets. Instead of just saving it, I booked a 5-day trip to a beachfront resort in Florida for Lily and me, and came along to help, and for the first time in forever, I relaxed. On day 3, I sat by the pool while Lily napped in her stroller under an umbrella. I wore a bikini for the first time since before pregnancy, stretch marks, C-section scar, softer curves, but I felt proud of what my body had accomplished. I asked him to snap a photo of me looking out at the ocean, confident and yes, already a bit slimmer. I sent that photo straight to Alan with the caption, "Getting back in shape, don't worry." Then I blocked him. Pure, unfiltered reclamation of my body, confidence, and his hidden money. According to Rory, Alan was absolutely furious. The divorce was every bit as brutal as I expected. Alan contested everything, full custody despite showing zero interest during my pregnancy, ownership of our former apartment's contents even though he left the furniture behind, and even my car, which I owned before we met. His tune changed dramatically when my lawyer exposed his financial fraud and verbal abuse. 3 months ago, we settled. I have primary physical custody. He gets supervised visitation 4 hours every other weekend. Child support is based on his actual income, which was higher than he claimed. We each kept our belongings and split the minimal joint assets, and he's responsible for the fraudulent credit card debt. It's not perfect, but it's stable. Alan has seen Lily exactly twice, once at 8 weeks old, 40 minutes late, complaining about supervised visits while taking Instagram photos about being a devoted dad, and again at 4 months, when he left early because she was fussy. He's canceled the last 3 scheduled visits with increasingly flimsy excuses. Part of me is hurt for Lily's sake, but mostly I'm relieved. Each interaction with him is emotionally draining, and his inconsistency would only confuse her as she grows. I've documented every cancellation on my lawyer's advice. As for me, I'm physically healed from birth, stretch marks, C-section scar, and about 15 pounds above my pre-pregnancy weight, and completely at peace with it. Financially, I'm stable, not rich, but child support helps, and I'm a budgeting pro now that I'm not subsidizing Alan's music career. I've even started a small savings account for Lily's future. Last I heard through mutual friends, Alan is telling everyone I had postpartum psychosis and stole his daughter and his money, conveniently omitting that he committed fraud and verbally abused me. His Instagram is full of posts about fighting for his parental rights despite constantly canceling visits. Classic. Sometimes I think back to that grocery store day. What felt like rock bottom then was actually the moment that saved me. Edit. So many have asked for a picture of Lily, but for privacy reasons I can't share one. Just imagine the cutest chubby-cheeked baby with the biggest, war-ending smile. That's Lily. Oh, and I just got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Alan's mom checking in on Lily and asking if she could visit sometime. Unlike Alan, she's respected my boundaries and genuinely cares about her granddaughter. I'm considering supervised visits with her separate from Alan's time. Lily deserves to know the family members who will love her consistently and respectfully.